Hi, you guys. It's Yaz. And today I want to talk about the narcissist and boundaries. Now, why is this important? I had a lot of people reach out to me and say, well, I can't leave my narcissistic husband or, my narcissistic wife. I'm in a situation. A lot of people are dealing with, they're financially dependent on somebody or there's kids and they can't just walk out of a situation like that. So they were saying, how do you deal with somebody who's narcissistic and, you want to set up boundaries and everything like that? Well, here's the thing, you guys. It really depends on where you are in your relationship and how narcissistic your partner is. Remember, there's different degrees of narcissism and there's different kinds of narcissists. So you really have to know the person that you're dealing with and just how far you can push them and how far you can't. If you're with someone who's a malignant narcissist who can be violent to the point where you're walking on eggshells, that is a very dangerous situation for a lot of people. And you can't just, take on a narcissist like that head on, or you could put yourself in a dangerous position. So you have to know who you're dealing with and how far you can push them. And you also have to know yourself as to how much you're willing to take, okay? You have to look at the relationship and you have to say to yourself, am I happy in this relationship or am I miserable? Or are there little things that I could do to kind of make the relationship better? Now, the key to healthy relationships are boundaries. And this is what is lacking with a lot of people today. A lot of people don't have any boundaries whatsoever, and their partner just runs and does whatever they want to do, okay? In other words, you may be involved with somebody, they ghost you, they stay out all night, you've talked yourself blue in the face, you maybe had, yelling, shouting arguments with them, and they still do whatever they want, okay? When you're in a situation like that, you have to have boundaries where you set up your rules of what you will put up with and what you won't. If this is something that you cannot live with, you've got to put that boundary up with that person, and there's got to be a consequence. See, this is the thing. People, they have these boundaries, but there's no consequence. And you've got to decide what is the consequence of this person breaking your boundaries. In other words, if your partner goes out and you tell them, listen, keep in touch with me, just shoot me a text or call me, let me know you're okay. And they defiantly don't do it because they feel like they shouldn't have to do it or anything like that. You two are not on the same page, and this is going to cause problems and a lot of arguments because your partner's not respecting your wishes. So you're either going to put up with that or you're going to say, I'm not going to put up with that. But it's up to you to do some soul searching and decide, okay, what could I put up with and what can I put up with, okay? If you're dealing with a partner that, let's say, you're in a situation where they're constantly cheating on you, all right? But you can't leave because you're financially dependent on that person or you have children or something like that. You're in a miserable situation and the person has the upper hand on you. It takes a lot of strength to leave a situation like that. And in order to leave a situation like that, you've got to have your money right. You've got to have a support system. You can't confront somebody like that if they're a very violent type of person or anything like that because you put yourself in danger. And, you have to really be careful and know who you're dealing with. But in the beginning, when you deal with any kind of relationship, whether somebody's narcissistic or not narcissistic, you've got to have your boundaries. You've got to communicate to the other person what you will accept and what you won't accept. Will you accept them having female friends or male friends and meeting them for lunch, as an example? Will you accept that? Or, there's got to be a boundary as to if they have friends. How friendly are they with those friends? It's one thing to have friends. You've got to give people freedom. You can't lock somebody in a box or they're just going to resent you. But you have to, you've got to be reasonable about it. And the other person also has to respect your wishes to the point where it's like, they don't make outsiders or third parties a priority over their relationship with you. The relationship that you have with your partner takes priority over everything, okay? Except when we talk about children. That's, children always come first, all right? But as far as anything, the extended family, their parents, their siblings, your siblings, their friends, your friends, the relationship between the two of you comes first, okay? And each one of you needs to recognize that. So that's when you set up boundaries, when you feel like, okay, your partner is spending more time, let's say, with their family than they're spending with you, or they're prioritizing their family over you, or they're prioritizing their friends over you. Then there is an imbalance because even though they're not having a physical, intimate relationship, they're they're focusing emotionally on an outside source than putting it into the relationship itself with you, in which case the relationship with you is going to start to lack, okay? So this is what I mean about boundaries. You have to know what you can accept and what you can't accept. Now, when we talk about dealing with a narcissistic person, you guys, here's the deal with narcissists, all right? A lot of narcissists are bullies, all right? This is what it comes down to. It's their way or the highway. And when you try to put boundaries on somebody like that, a lot of times they're not going to abide by that. A lot of times they're going to just yes you and do what they want, or, they're just going to defiantly do what they want. Okay? And that's why I tell you, you've got to have consequences. Now, if you're dealing with somebody that is so narcissistic, so selfish, that can't even consider your feelings whatsoever, they have a total lack of empathy, that is a no-win situation. And if you're in a situation like that and you're locked into a relationship or a marriage like that, you've got to make up your mind. You have to say to yourself, either I'm going to live like this because this person is not going to change. If they can't see a problem with themselves or what they're doing, you can't fix it, okay? So you're either going to have to put up with that crap, or you're going to have to get yourself on your feet and be able to walk away from that. And if you're financially dependent on them, you're going to have to try to find a way to have your own financial independence, okay? Maybe it's a side business. Maybe it's borrowing money from a friend or a family member to get out, to get on your feet, okay? Or something along those lines. You can't, here it is, you guys. When you're dependent on someone else, that's why I always say, never ever put yourself in a position where you're dependent on somebody, okay? Whether it's financially or emotionally, where you feel weak, you can't be alone or anything like that, or you can't support yourself, or, you feel you have no self-confidence because you're relying on that other person to validate you. You've got to make yourself 100% whole. And how do you do that? You take care of yourself, okay? This is what we mean by self-love. You take care of yourself. You get your money right. You work towards a goal, okay? You don't have to be rich, but you have to be able to take care of yourself so that you don't have to go running to somebody else to help you with something, okay? You could do it on your own. You have to be able to feel good about yourself. Take care of how you look. When you look better, your health. If there's something that you're not happy with, the way you look, try to change it. If you feel you need to lose 10, 15 pounds, you walk an extra 15 minutes a day. You make the effort. If you want change, you've got to go outside your comfort level and make that change, okay? If you truly want to, have your freedom and be independent and not have to, abide by what someone else does because you're codependent on them. And another thing too is when we deal with boundaries, you guys, it's very hard to have boundaries with people that you are reliant on, okay? Because you have no bargaining chip. If you're, let's say that you have a partner and your partner is paying the rent and everything like that, it's very hard for you to have boundaries with a person like that and say, listen, I don't want you, going out on Friday night with your friends or something like that, because that person's going to throw back in your face and say, well, you have nothing to say. I pay the bills here and I'm going to do what I want. All right. A lot of times they're going to do that to you and you're in a spot. But if you're in a situation where you could take care of yourself and you could walk out that door, that person will think twice about pushing your boundaries because they don't want to lose you. So when it comes to boundaries, remember this, okay? If they've got you in a situation where they know that you're not going anywhere, where, for instance, they've cheated on you, but you haven't left them because you're hoping they'll change, and they know that, you're so into them and you're sweating them, they're going to be less likely to follow your boundaries. You have to put them in a position where they feel like, you know what? You don't need them. They could lose you. And if they don't care about losing you, then you're not losing anything if they walk away. You've lost nothing. You've actually did yourself a favor than be in a relationship with somebody who doesn't care whether you're there or not. So in a situation like that, you probably are better walking out the door, okay? But it's all about you and what you'll accept, and it's about who you're dealing with and the degree of toxicity that you're dealing with. Like we say all the time, a lot of people are narcissistic and, everybody's got narcissism in them and this and that. But it's like I told you guys before, there's different degrees of how narcissistic somebody can be and how much empathy somebody could have. So you've got to evaluate your partner, and you've got to evaluate how much you could put up with. And if you're going down a spiral of destruction because you have somebody that is so incredibly selfish that will never ever bend, and you're just basically you're existing, but you're not living, okay? If you want to live, you have to recognize, and you've put up those boundaries, and this person is not ignoring your boundaries or just yesing you, then it's up to you to walk out and say, you know what? I'm not going to put up with this. You know what? If I'm in a situation where I'm dependent on them, let me get myself together so that I can be independent and not dependent on them and take this crap, okay? This is what I'm trying to tell you. You want to be independent so that you don't have to rely on that other person. And the more you have to rely on somebody, the more crap you're going to be taking, okay? But, I went a little bit off the path when we're talking about the boundaries and the narcissists. There's certain boundaries a narcissist is going to follow depending on the narcissist, and there's certain boundaries they won't, okay? So you have to, in a sense, know the narcissist that you're dealing with. If they feel that they need you, that you are offering something to them, some kind of supply to them, they will try to stay within the boundaries. But if they feel that they could replace you or something along those lines, then boundaries will not work with them, okay? So this is what I'm trying to tell you. I hope it helps you guys and you think about it and really, decide how you want to live your life, okay? Don't just float or drift your life away, okay? Because you're going to wake up one day, you're going to look at that other person, or that other person's going to walk out on you for some reason because the relationship was toxic, and you're going to say, why did I put up with all of these things and this person kept breaking my boundaries and I stayed there, okay? If you stay in it and somebody keeps breaking your boundaries, guess what? Your word means nothing. And your value means nothing. And especially if you're dealing with a narcissist that thinks they're superior to you. All right. You have to let these people know that you're not gonna take that. Okay. You're not going to take that. And the only way you could build yourself up is to be your own independent person. All right. Hope that helps you guys. If it did, hit the subscribe button.